How do you know when to harvest your microgreens? Welcome back for another video to Recalibrate with Nate, and thank you again for joining me for another video in this playlist series, which I will put the link to the playlist series in the description box below, as well as the link for the plant-based bundle, which only has 2 days left. Only 2 days, you guys. So this is an incredible bundle. If you haven't tuned into the other videos, this bundle is amazing. This is an incredible bundle, over 200 different products in this particular bundle, totaling nearly $9,000 if you were to buy everything separate for $50. So you're getting my full microgreens course showing you how to set your room up and grow microgreens, how to sprout, how to ferment food, make sauerkraut and kimchi, and the benefits of these things. I've got a couple other books in the bundle as well, my Dude Food book and my Alive book, and Lissa has 5 of her books in this bundle. So you're getting 8 products from us, and those total nearly $200, or actually I think a little bit over $200 for those 8 products if you were to buy those by themselves. You're getting all of those plus nearly 200 others for $50. It is an incredible deal and only 2 days left for this bundle. So make sure you click the link in the description box below and grab your bundle before it's gone forever. Also, if you are looking for some of our other books that aren't in the plant-based bundle, we're running 60% off for the Black Friday and the Boxing Day special. I'll link that below as well. So be sure to check that out if you are looking for some of the other books, like I said, that aren't going to be in the bundle this year. All right, so how do you know when to harvest your microgreens? Look at these beauties. These are some garlic chives, and they smell so good, kind of oniony, a little garlicky. And these are actually called monocots, because it's like a blade of grass. It's just one, there's no leaf at the top, right? So a monocot, it's an interesting grow, and we love these. These are one of our favorites. These here are ready to harvest. We're gonna actually cut off some of these tonight and have them with our dinner, and you don't have to cut them all at once. That's what's so nice about growing microgreens for yourself, is you don't have to cut them all at once. You can just cut what you want and leave the rest on your shelf or on your windowsill, wherever you're growing them, and they will continue to grow. So it's alive. You're basically harvesting living food to add into your meals whenever you want to add more freshness to your food. Now, of course, you have to have them at a level where they are ready to harvest, and the best way to tell is by tasting. So what you could do is you could take some scissors or just pinch a little one off and just eat it. Delicious. Slightly garlicky, slightly oniony, not too strong. Really, really amazing. Another way that you can tell when they're ready to harvest is when they're growing, they have what's called the cotyledon, which is the 2 leaves that fan out, the very first 2 leaves that you're gonna see. Now, there's another set of leaves that grow inside those 2 leaves and start to fan out the next set of leaves. That next set, the second set of leaves, is actually called the true leaf. And that's when you know that they're a perfect time to harvest. Once that true leaf gets a little bit bigger, it starts to actually taste a little bitter, not as sweet. Now, microgreens don't necessarily have a really sweet flavor, but they get even a little bit more bitter the longer that you grow them. And if you want to know more detail, of course, Google is our best friend in so many ways, right? And YouTube is another great place to go to really get into the nitty-gritty of this. But I compiled this kind of information in my book, Alive, which Alive is also included into the bundle this year, the plant-based bundle. So in that book, I have nice pictures showing you what this really looks like. So the best time to harvest your microgreens is the sign of those true leaves. When those 2 little true leaves come, right, the second set, that is a perfect time to start harvesting your microgreens. And of course, maybe you're growing a big tray, maybe you're only one person, you're growing by yourself, you don't have other people within your household. One thing that's really nice to do is you can let them grow for the next 5 days and they'll be fine. It's when they show that true leaf, another 5 to maybe 7 days at most, and they'll still be fine. You can keep them growing and just harvest what you need. But let's say 5 days goes by and you're like, I'm not going to be able to finish these. That's when you could just harvest the entire tray and store them in a Ziploc with a paper towel. Just put them in a Ziploc bag with a paper towel, or you can put them in another container, another plastic container. Say like if you buy alfalfa sprouts from the store, you can wash that container and store them in there. They'll hold for a good couple days, 2-3 days. So the best thing to do is just to eat them as quick as you can. Add them in everything. Put them in your green smoothies. Put them on every single dish that you can. Make wraps, make salads, put them in your soups, put them on everything. If you eat pizzas and potatoes or whatever, put them all, just sprinkle them all over everything. You're basically sprinkling living vitamins and minerals all over your meals, which is amazing in so many ways. Now you can chop them up really fine if you don't necessarily like to have the stem real long and kind of stringy. Certain dishes, the long stringy, say like in a wrap, works perfect, but maybe some other dishes you want to have, you don't want to have them as long, the stem, so you could just chop them up several times to where they're in smaller little bits. But these are amazing living enzymes and delicious. They're full of nutrients. So anytime I'm adding them into something, I'm basically picturing like, wow, I'm sprinkling vitamins and minerals all over my food. Another thing that you can do is what we'll do, say when we can't finish the tray, is I'll harvest the rest of the tray and I will dehydrate them in our dehydrator. And I'll dehydrate at about 110 Fahrenheit for however long it takes to where they're absolutely crunchy, crispy. And I will smash them in between 2 mesh trays, and I'll put a couple of forks on top of that top mesh tray so they don't blow around in my dehydrator, because after a while when they start to dehydrate, they're going to get lighter, right? They're not going to be very heavy, so they might just kind of wisp away and wisp all over inside your dehydrator. So that's why I sandwich them in between 2 mesh trays and just throw a couple of forks on top to add a little weight. So once they're done being dehydrated, what you can do is you can either put them in a jar that way, and the best thing to do would be to have a vacuum seal style jar and pull the air out of the jar. That would be the freshest way to store them. But if you don't have a vacuum sealed jar, that's not a big deal either. Just make sure it's nice and airtight, and you can store them in your cupboard that way, because they're dried. They're not going to mold or anything, right? So that's where it's really important to make sure that the dehydrating process has gone completely long enough to where they are very dry and very crispy. So another thing that you can do once you're done, say, dehydrating them, and you don't want to store them in a jar, what we really like to do is grind them up in a coffee grinder. Now we have a coffee grinder that we'll use to grind up flaxseed and chia seed and the microgreens. And then so now you've got microgreen powder. And essentially this is powder. These powders that you'd be growing, it's amazing. You're growing the microgreens, delicious, super nutrient dense, vitamin and mineral rich plants, dehydrating it and grinding it into powder. And when you dehydrate it at that certain temperature, it's not necessarily overheating the microgreen because it's such a low temperature. So most of those vitamins and minerals are still there, still intact. Like it might be, I don't know, you'd have to have some sort of, lab test to see how much is actually there, in the dehydrated ground version as opposed to the growing living version. But it's got to be at least 70% of the nutrient is retained after the dehydrating process. So that's another really great trick to use after you harvest your microgreens. Right? So really cool, so many tricks. And of course, the best thing is just have fun with it, trial and error. You'll find what works for you. The best thing to do is just to get growing. That's the biggest thing. And if you want to get growing and this is a lot of information and you want to just take it step by step, make sure you grab the plant-based bundle. Like I said, my book Alive is in there, my full video course showing you every single step of the way, close-ups and what these look like through the different stages of the grow process, how to harvest, what to do after you harvest, how to eat them, all of the ins and outs is in that Microgreens course, which is in the plant-based bundle that you can pick up right now for $50. Like I said, over 200 different products in there, totaling nearly $9,000 worth of value if you were to buy everything separate. Absolutely incredible deal. Only 2 days left. So make sure you click the link down below and just grab that. You are going to love it. And if you're unsure, open up the link, get into the website and see everything you're going to be getting. It is a no-brainer. I mean, it is a screaming deal and it only comes around once a year. And this one, most bundles are different every single time. Just like this one, it will never be back again. Once it's gone forever. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this video and we will see you on the next one. Love ya.